All right, it's time to learn how to fly a plane. I'm going to get you set up with all the settings that you need to do. So, we're going to start with settings, joystick, keys, and equipment. And it should start you on the axes. So, I want you to take your flight stick and roll it to the left and roll it to the right. Don't twist it. Pitch it forward, pitch it back. And those should move and then center. Then you're going to select this third bar, select yaw, and then twist it to the left, twist it to the right. And throttle is the little switch below the joystick. You can flip that up and down. It does not matter if you click reverse, it doesn't do anything. So we'll get to that in a second. So that's our first step in setup. The next one is basic buttons. So we want to be able to trim the pitch. So I want you to click the 6 button on the top of the joystick. Click it once and then click pitch trim up. You can see I've already done that. And then click the 4 button and click pitch trim down. Now, if you click the 6 and the 4, you can see that will pitch the trim up and pitch the trim down. That will help it so that when you're trying to fly straight and level, you can click the 6 key repeatedly if you're pitching down, and it will help your plane to just fly level so you don't always have to hold back on the joystick. It can get a little tiresome. The next thing that we want to do is you're probably going to have to go down into your um, bottom window menu bar here and right click this, go to taskbar settings and choose automatically hide the taskbar. So make sure that is selected to on. That will make the taskbar disappear. And now we want to click the 5 button, which is in the top left of the joystick. And we're going to make that do aileron trim left, which is down here in the bottom left corner. And then if I just let the that menu bar disappear, I'm going to click the 3 button, and I want that to be aileron trim right. And you got to be careful moving your mouse because if you go too far, that window will appear and you don't want it to. So I'm going to test these buttons out. I have the 5 button is aileron trim left. The 3 button is aileron trim right. That will help it so that it doesn't roll really hard to the left or really hard to the right. Then I click the 6 button, and that's pitch trim up, and the 4 button is pitch trim down. So everything looks good. So I'm going to click the X key to close that out. Next thing, you can turn your settings, sound. I turned the sounds on because I like them on. I'm going to turn them off for now. And then finally, we're going to go to location. We're going to choose select global airport. And I'm going to type in Denver, and we want Denver International. We're going to go to this airport. So now I am at this airport. Then go to location, local map. So you can see that my airplane is right here. These little arrow type things are the ILS, Instrument Landing Approach windows. Now, right now we're on this particular runway. We're going to be taking off going straight south, and we want to fly over here to Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport. And Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport has a VOR station right next to it. And that VOR station is a station of 115.4. So let's see if you can make that out. There it is, 115.4. So I'm going to tune my VOR to 115.4. And then I'm going to tune my second VOR to 117 or 111.7. And that is what I'll use for the instrument landing approach. So 111.4, 115.4. So let's tune this to 115.4. We'll do that as nav1. And it looked like that was at a heading. Let's double check this. This is at a heading of between 270 and 300. So it's close to 290, maybe 292, something like that. And this airport runway is going to be about the same, about 295, 292, somewhere around there. And so I'm going to tune my VOR navigation 1 to right around that spot. Looks like it right now. This is at a heading of about 290, 295, sort of in between there. That's the radial we want to be on. The same thing for this other one in nav 2. That's the radial we want to be on because that's what we're going to use for instrument landing approach. The last thing I want to tune is my heading bug, and I want to tune this to the same thing. So I'm going to click on my heading bug and just hold that button down until it gets to about that 290. It's almost to 300. And you can see that when I hover over things, information pops up. You can choose to see that or not. If you go into aircraft, you can do show instrument descriptions. So I'm gonna turn that off for right now because I don't really want that on because it makes it kind of hard to see. But you can turn that on if you want to see more about what's going on. So I have my VOR1 tuned to 292. Same thing for the VOR2 for my landing. And I have my heading bug tuned to that also. Now, right now, my aircraft is facing almost due south. It's almost at a 180 heading. So I'm going to turn my throttle all the way on. That's that little switch at the bottom of your joystick. And I'm going to click the brakes light to turn that off. So I should be gaining some speed right now. You should be able to take off once you hit about 70 knots. So I'm going to twist my joystick to the right, not pull it to the right because I want to yaw. That's going to help me steer to the right a little bit. So that helps me straighten this thing out. Once I get to about 70 knots, I should be able to take off. You can see that my altitude currently is about 6,000 feet. That's a 610, looks like about 6,100 feet. So I'm about 70 knots now. I can pull back on the flight stick and gently I can take off right here. Now I'm going to hit the A key. And if I let the flight stick kind of settle, you can see I'm starting to dive down. Well, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to have to hold back on the flight stick all day. So I'm going to tap my 6 key, the one on the top of the joystick, and I'm going to keep tapping it while I let the joystick kind of go to straight and level. And now I'm not pulling back on the joystick at all. And it's flying straight and level, which is nice. But I can see I'm rolling left. So I'm going to hit the 3 key because that was aileron trim right. And I just hit it about 3 or 4 times. You can see I'm starting to level off here. Hit it a couple more times. You don't want to overcorrect because then you'll start rolling to the right. So I clicked the 5 key to trim left a little bit. Now I'm flying pretty straight and level. And so you can play around with those to trim things as you want. Let me hit the W key to go back into the cockpit. And now I want to turn my autopilot heading button on. So I'm going to go autopilot heading. And what you'll see happen is I'm going to start to roll as soon as I turn the autopilot on. And that's the switch right here. So I'm going to click that to auto. Now I'm starting to roll until I hit this heading bug of 295 degrees. So I'm going to hit Control T, and that speeds up the simulation to double. I'm going to hit Control T again. That's 4 times. Control T again. That's 6 times. It's going to help me get to that spot. You can see I'm gaining 0 altitude right now. That's set to 0. My altitude is not changing. You can see this is your horizon indicator. It shows that I'm banking to the right. Now, as I start to approach this, I should begin to level off. So we're not going to really pay attention to anything else until that happens. We're starting to level off. Now I'm going to go back to normal speed. I'm going to hit Control T. I'm maintaining my altitude here because my altitude select button is also on. So that's maintaining the altitude. If I turn that off, then it can adjust. So I'm going to leave that on. You can see alt select and heading selected. Now I need to try to get onto this radio. So if I go to location, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to look at this GPS map. I'm going to use the mouse wheel, scroll down to zoom out a little bit. You can see my airplane. So I'm heading on the same radial, this 295 radial, but I'm going parallel with where I want to go. So I need an intercept angle. So I should need to turn to the left to get that intercept. So if I look at this little VOR line, in this case, in this aircraft, it's a line. It doesn't swing like in the other simulation. It's just a line showing to the left. So I need an intercept. So I would need to go in an intercept of around 30 degrees. Well, I'm going to do a steeper intercept so I can make sure I get there in time. So I'm going to go all the way to a heading of 240. So let's adjust our heading bug to 240. You can see as soon as I do that, the plane is going to start to bank because we are on autopilot. So I'm clicking this many, many times. There we go, 240. We're going to speed up the simulator to 6x. And now we're going to be on an intercept of that radial. So we should be approaching that imaginary radial line. And I'm going to go to my map again. You can see, yes, we are in fact approaching that radial line is right here. So as we approach it, this VOR needle should start to say going less and less to the left. I'm gonna go back to normal time. You can see now we're starting to get very close to that radial, which means I need to change my heading to match this. So I want to be at a heading of 295. Well, I'm not on that radial yet, so I still need to be a little less than 295, a little to the left of 295. So I'm going to go to a heading of looks like 270. And we're getting closer to that radial. I'm going to speed up time a little bit here. So I'm actually not even holding onto my joystick at all. And we're going to adjust the heading. It looks like we're very close to that being vertical. I'm going to adjust it directly to a 295. So we're right on that line. In fact, I actually went past just a little bit too far, but that's okay. We'll overshoot it maybe to 300. Now, what you'll notice in the distance there is you can actually see the runway lights right here. So this is the airport. This is where we're trying to head to. So at this point, I can begin to look at my ILS approach, and it says I need to go to the right to get onto that ILS approach. So I am going to head a little bit further to the right. I'm going to speed up time, make sure my nav 1 and nav 2 are turned on. And you can see that now for my instrument landing approach, it says go to the right, but we're getting very close. So I'm going to adjust my heading bug a little bit to the left. I'm going to slow down speed or time here. And now that vertical line is how high of an altitude I should be. So I'm going to turn my autopilot off. You can see things got a little bit shaky there. I'm going to try to get on to this exact glide slope. So I'm going to start to throttle down. Right now I'm going about 130 knots. So I pulled my throttle all the way back, and this is my altitude. So right now it says go down. So I'm going to try to drop. This line to left says go left. So I'm going to try to go to the left. I want this line to be perfectly level and this line to be perfectly vertical here. And I'm getting pretty close. There we go. As long as I keep it in that position, I'm going to be in a perfect position to land on this runway right in front of me. So again, my throttle, I actually put all the way to 0 because I'm descending. I don't want my airspeed to get below 80 knots though, so be careful to look at that. Everything looks pretty good right now. As I'm adjusting my flight stick, it's a little bit jerky because I'm not a professional pilot. And I need to go up, so I'm going to actually add a little bit of throttle there because I'm a little low. You can see that this thing says go up. Now it says go way down. So I'm going to pull my throttle all the way back. And there we go. We're getting close. I'm going to hit the A key so I can actually see this from the back. It's a lot easier, but it's kind of cheating. But there we go. We landed. Throttle's all the way down. And I'm going to hit the B key for brakes. We'll go back into the window. You can see my brakes are on. Don't want to run off the runway there. Brakes are on. Throttle's down. And that is a successful flight from Denver to Rocky Mountain Airport. You are welcome.